All right, everybody, this is Dawn Weatherwax Feed for Speed podcast webinar with Grace Hartman. She's blessing us with her presence today, and she is a cross-country track athlete, past tennis athlete, by the way, and she's been gracious enough to talk to us about just some of her background and how her journey with nutrition, and then we'll start as how she came my way. So Grace, take over. Tell us a little bit about yourself.
Hi, my name's Grace, and yeah, I'm a cross-country and track and field athlete running for Oakwood High School, and I'm a senior, so next year I'll be headed to North Carolina State to continue running, and I'm studying psychology. And yeah, I mean, over the last several years, I've really started to learn the importance of nutrition, and after several different stress fractures and other injuries, my doctor put me in Dawn's direction, and ever since then things have been going a lot better. So
she made that sound so nice. So anyways, I have some inside scoops. So what when you first got that referral, what were your thoughts about that piece and the nutrition piece?
It was not good, to be honest. I thought it was a load of bogus. My doctor told me, because I wasn't having like a normal menstrual cycle, so he was like, you should really get your nutrition checked out. And because I had had several like tibial stress fractures, I've learned more recently that's probably more biomechanical, but he said I should check it out anyway. So I had my bone density tested. That was all fine. But so I went to Dawn, and I was really cranky about it. I told my parents, I'm like, this is a waste of time and money. No offense, Dawn. It ended up being worth it, but I was like very hesitant. So we went there, and after the first appointment or two, I still really didn't trust her. But when I started like actually trying to follow what she told me, I started running a lot better, and I was actually like sleeping well again and didn't have stomach aches. So it ended up working out. So
so what, as you know, you came in, and what did you think about how many calories I suggested you needed based on the testing we did?
Well, I had said this before. I honestly didn't want to go to a nutritionist because I thought they were going to tell me I was like eating way too much. That was not the case. She told me I was eating about 1,000 calories too little. Now I probably eat like 1,500 calories more than I did like less than a year ago. So I went to her, and she was like, okay, you need to first of all increase like the amount of fat and protein in your diet, but you need to like consume 1,000 more calories a day. And I was like, you gotta be kidding me. Like, who do you think you are? That's insane. And so, I mean, I left that appointment sobbing, and I was—
That would break my heart if I saw that.
Yeah, because I was like, I feel like as a female athlete, like you're always taught in school, like you're supposed to have 2,000 calories a day, 2,500 like at max. If you don't, you're gonna like die of kidney disease or something. But you're not really taught what an actual like athlete needs to consume. And I still didn't understand that for a really long time. But then I was on the car ride home, still upset, but I was like, well, I guess this means I need to go get more snacks. So I wasn't too upset about that. So then,
you're like, wow, okay, I think I can do some of this, right? Yeah. I can manage.
And then a couple weeks later, I like PR'd in the 5K by like 40 seconds. So I was I trusted you after that. So.
Now, how did you handle intaking more? Because, obviously you came in and we did your muscle sound that's what really gave us the insight as how fueled your muscles were. Yeah. We obviously measured your metabolism and looked at your body comp, but the muscle sound was the big thing. So how did you manage to get more calories in?
Uh-oh.
Oh, you're there, go.
All right, I think it's okay.
Yes, we've just this interview, it's just going to be what it is. It's cloudy outside, so go for it.
Yeah. So, I mean, honestly, at first it was really hard. I was using the chronometer, like calorie, and I'm not one to, I actually severely dislike counting my calories, but I needed to for a while just to make sure I was eating enough. And it was super hard because at night I would still be at like my normal 2,200 calories, and I'd somehow need to pound 800 calories right before bed, which is also like not super fun if you're eating healthfully for the most part.
Yeah.
So what I learned to do is like I had to add like just a ton of like peanut butter to stuff. I've gotten like addicted to like raw nuts. It's super easy. I get these like dark chocolate almonds, and like if you have almonds or something, you can get a lot of calories from that, and it's like a good healthful, nutritiously like dense food. And honestly, it was just spreading things out throughout the day and eating a little, like I've always eaten big meals, but eating a little bit more and just making sure like, okay, I've got enough carbs, I've got enough protein, and even like if I wasn't still hungry, I would still eat more, because what I learned is like you're taught about, especially like on YouTube and all that stuff, everyone's pro intuitive eating. And that's great if that works for you, but like that doesn't work for me. And I still struggle with that because I'm like, I'm not hungry, but I still need to eat. And that's super difficult. So I think that was the biggest struggle for me, is being like, I don't feel like I need any more food, but I did, and I didn't even realize it. And even like yesterday I made that mistake. Like I know I didn't eat enough because I woke up in the middle of the night and my stomach hurt. So I was like, okay, so now I need to eat more today. So yeah.
Isn't that fascinating how your body does that? Like you're hungry in the middle of the night. And I bet, I mean, you know your energy very well. How many calories, if you had to guess, that you ate yesterday?
Oh, I mean, honestly, yesterday I probably ate more like 3,000 calories. I'm probably like I probably eat closer to like 3,500 on a regular day. Sometimes definitely more than that. So
just not how much you're doing, right? I mean,
yeah, how much I'm doing, and then what we're having for dinner. Like sometimes like our meals are always healthy, but like there are some things that are just more dense than others. So it just kind of depends on the day.
Yeah. So just the highlight for people listening, her day, she gets hungry if she eats less than 3,000 calories a day now. So that's the new Grace. And I agree with you. You brought up a really fascinating point. I find, especially in this sport, intuitive eating does not work that great. I just don't, it doesn't. I mean, I just feel like people really are confused about some. I don't even know if they really understand the calorie. And then I think others are just like, they don't know even how close or what they're consuming. And then you're trying to tell them to do intuitive eating, and they're not even like you get full and your tummy is smaller, or because you're not eating enough. And then you're like, well, my stomach says it's full and I'm not hungry. But you're right. I don't feel intuitive eating works very well in this scenario, because guess what? Remember, you came in and we were close to, oh gosh, one of your trainings, it was November or something. And you're like, Dawn, my legs are really sore, but I know it's not nutrition. I'm just training hard. And what happened?
Oh, it was so bad. My glucose levels, I guess, your
carbs. Yeah. Carbs. Yeah. Glucose is just outside, but technically it's still sugar. So yeah, your carbs in the muscle.
Yeah, they were super low, and I had like a regional qualifying race for like a national meet, and I had my eyes set on this for like the longest time. And I was in great shape, ready to go, and I completely bonked. Like it was horrendous. And so afterward, I mean, I was devastated. So I went to see Dawn, because I still had one more national meet to run, and I was like, should I even do this? Like, if that's gonna happen again, there's no way I'm gonna run that race. But so over that week, the thing that's like people don't understand is you can get your like carbohydrate levels up really quickly. So like that week I was pounding pasta and Gatorade, anything that I could.
And tortillas, because that's one of our favorite foods. Yeah.
And I ended up like, I ran a little bit more conservatively than I have in the past, but like I PR'd by like 15 seconds. It was a really good race. and it was like a much better way to end my senior season than like a horrible cold regional
event. And
bonking
and going. I felt great the first 2 miles, but the third mile I thought I was like, what the heck, right? So
it was bad.
Yeah, and that brings up another factor, right? Is you're learning your body, because that is so classic. People increase their training, right? They increase their miles, or they're more intense, and they forget that they need to eat more to match that. And I swear, when you train harder, sometimes in the world of cross country or track, sometimes in the distance, I swear you get less hungry. Sometimes when you're training more. I don't know. I think it's a delayed effect. So.
Yeah, sorry, you're glitching out a little bit, but assuming this is working, you definitely do. Like, I've, over the last like couple years, like, I mean, the most my mileage ever gets to in like high school is like the 40s or 50s, but a lot of the times I'm running 20 some miles and I'm on the bike, just because I'm like prone to different shin injuries and stuff. But so like more recently I've had a flare up with my shin, and I just being able to rule out nutrition as a problem really helps, because I'm learning more about like, oh, it's my biomechanics. I need to fix this. I need to fix that. Because before, when I had these type of issues, my doctor figured it was nutritional. And so that's what I focused on instead of some other things. So this way I have my nutrition covered. I've got my iron covered. I have my bone density covered. Like, I know all of that is perfect. It's just, well, okay, not perfect, but like, good. And then it's figuring out what's the common denominator.
And your menstrual cycle's normal, right? It's been normal, right? Yeah.
For the first time ever in my life. And I'm training more than I ever have in my life.
Yeah. So it was so related to, for you and for most, just not eating enough, right? Because people don't realize that if you don't eat enough, then the body will shut that system down. And people are like, well, I'm cool without that system. But this is the other thing about your bones, is usually when you don't have a normal menstrual cycle, you're like I can't remember, so don't hold me to this, like 5 or 7 times more likely to get a stress fracture. So you can see where the doc was on place, like, hey, you don't have a normal menstrual cycle. But now you're like, look, I have a normal menstrual cycle. I'm eating. Now I know for a fact this is, that's taken care of. And now I need to really focus on this piece to stay healthy.
Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, it definitely helps.
All right, girl, I need you to tell people a day in a life of Grace and eating. So walk us through a day, or even today or yesterday, what you ate.
I won't do today or yesterday because it's been a little bit different. I'll say like on a school day. We're on break right now, so it's weird. Okay. But so usually for breakfast, Dawn would question this, but for the past like 5 years, I've always had a big smoothie for breakfast. And when I say big, I mean like it's massive. It's got bananas, strawberries, blueberries, protein, almond milk. And so I always have that. And then I have like an obsession with Nutella. That's like oh my gosh, I love it. So I always have like 2 Nutella rice cakes, but like if I'm in like a harder training block, because that's like not that many calories, but I'm also not super hungry in the mornings. So like if I'm training like regularly, I'll only do the rice cake like once or twice a week. Most of the time I'll have like a toast with peanut butter on the side or a bagel with something else. So I always try to get some sort of fat, some sort of protein. I try to get like 30 grams of protein in the morning. So I mean, my breakfast, I would say, ends up being like 700 calories, like on most days. So it's not massive, but it's enough to get me through to lunch. So and then at lunchtime, that's where I get a lot of stuff. I generally have like a big or a chicken sandwich. So I have like, I don't know, 2 pieces of bread. Just I stack my sandwiches with a bunch of stuff. And then I always have like a mixture of nuts and like dark chocolate because I love that stuff. And then I have full fat Greek yogurt. And it's the Greek gods. It's so good.
Oh,
it has like
girlfriend, that one has some sugar in it. I'm letting you go by on that one. That one is so yummy.
I don't even care. I've eaten it every day.
I know. I'm like, girl, that one, pure cream, man.
It's so good.
It is decadent.
Yeah. So I mean, that packs on the calories pretty quickly, and then I always have some sort of granola with that because I enjoy that. And then I have 2 types of fruit, so I'll usually have like a big bag of grapes and then like some mandarin oranges or something. And then I'll have generally some like carrots or some vegetable, and then like a cracker of some sort, and then I'll always like bring a bar with me, so if I'm hungry then I'll eat it, or if I'm not hungry I'll eat it like in between lunch and practice. And then before practice I also eat something else. I really like RX bars, so I have that. And yeah, that's for the most part what I eat before practice, because I'm kind of have a sensitive stomach at times. And then after practice, most of the times I have like a chocolate milk or a Gatorade or something to like replenish the carbs pretty quickly. And then I have something with protein if I'm not eating dinner right away. And then at dinner, we always have some sort of protein, some sort of carbohydrate. I mean, like tonight we're having salmon, like basmati rice, and a salad with like Kalamata olives and olive oil and all that good stuff. Yeah, so we eat a lot of like salmon and chicken in our house. On Sundays we have steak and potatoes, so I really like that stuff. And
it's then party stuff going on, right?
Yeah. And as a night snack, again, I usually have like that's when I usually have like a normal like container of Greek yogurt, because it's like lighter in your stomach before bed. And I'll have it with like a cereal or some granola, and then I'll have like an apple, or it just kind of depends on the evening, but I try to get like 300 400 calories before bed, or I wake up hungry. So
yeah, and you snack on nuts a lot, right? I think you grab handfuls of nuts sometimes too if you need it. And now I find that I love that lunch. Now those athletes that say to me, I can't eat much before I run, how did you manage that? I know you only do an RX bar, but I think some of the runners out there would still be like, holy cow, how did she get over that? How did she manage to work through some of those tummy?
Dawn, this is coming from a girl who eats a full-blown meal less than an hour before she races.
Well, there you go then. Not as managed time. So an RX bar is closed right before you can run. Okay.
Anybody who wants to hear something psychotic, before state last year during cross country, and am I
gonna be proud of this or I'm gonna cry? Which one is it?
Well, I mean, it's like I always have chicken, sweet potato, and rice before I race. If it's like I always have it the night before. If it's an afternoon race, I'll have it the night before and like at lunchtime, or like an hour before. So I'm supposed to have it like an hour and a half before, really, right?
Okay.
Of course, last year at state, there was a high stakes race, and I am so stupid. I decided to eat it 45 minutes before. And this is a full-blown sweet potato, a full breasted chicken, and like a cup of rice.
Oh my gosh, girl.
And I was on the start line, like regurgitating it was terrible. And the race ended up going well, so it was okay. But yeah, so I really have a fairly strong stomach.
No, you are amazing. That's hilarious. Well, see there, if Grace can run on a full stomach and pull through, then other people should learn that just having nothing, because I get so many that they struggle with that. So, what do you think, as you've been through such a lot, what would you like to share with other runners or whoever's listening about this process? And what advice would you like to give them? Because you've been through a lot. And it was it's so awesome that, you got faster and faster in 15 seconds for someone who's very fast already. So what would you like to share to people out there?
Well, from a running regards, I would say don't push yourself too early. Like if you're listening to this and you're in like 7th or 8th grade, you need to not be training like you're a senior in high school or like you're a college runner, because I've definitely been in that position before where I'm like looking up people who I like aspire to be like, and I try to copy their training. That's not realistic. But it's also like when you're going into high school, running in college, whatever you're doing, you're not going to get anywhere unless you fuel your body. Like you may be able to let it slide for a little bit like I did. And I've always been like a very strong athlete, and I really like to touch on this point. Like I'm 5'10". In all my race photos, I look like a giant compared to pretty much everybody else around me. So that's led me to be pretty self-conscious over the years. Like I'm come from a very muscular family. That's how it works. And that's what helps me become a good runner. But it's also
not tiny, being lean and strong, right?
Also something where like, even when I was like in 7th grade, I was always like the strong kid. And so I've been self-conscious about that. So I mean, there have been times where I'm like, oh, I wish I was like smaller, this or that. But what I've learned is like, I need to fuel my body properly. And if I'm training to run well, I'm not training for like aesthetics or whatever. I'm training to race and perform. And that means that I need to fuel my body, not somebody else's. So if like everybody has their own needs, like you can't get away with not eating enough, because if you don't, like, you will slow down, something else will happen, you'll break a bone. And obviously there are common injuries, like no matter what happens, but and then also like let your body develop. The biggest thing that I think so many people hear, and I heard this even like growing up in like 9th grade, when you're still like really haven't got, or at least I hadn't like gone through puberty or anything, I was always told like, well, when you get older, you may get slower. And everyone's like, well, are you going to slow down? Because I hear girls slow down a lot. And it made me so worried about that. And I mean, it bothered me so much. And it still does when I hear that, because like, I mean, there are times where you plateau. The reason I plateaued when I was in, 11th grade, I had a kind of not as great cross country season. Because I wasn't fueling my body properly. I had gotten injured, and I mean, and I was always like, okay, I'm having these good workouts, I'm doing this, I'm doing that, but I didn't have enough energy to get through my races. So my first 2 miles would be right on par, and then I would die. So you need to learn how to work with your body and not try to fight against it. Like, especially female athletes, like you need to be able to grow, and you need that like female physique, like an adult physique, or else like you're not going to be able to continue this sport for as long as you want. So you know, it's just something you kind of have to work with, and it's a long process. Like at times it really sucks. Like I mean, I still deal with it on a regular basis, but you can't listen to like what people tell you. I mean, the amount of times I've been told like, hey, oh, you eat too much, oh, you do this, oh, you do that, or like, you're gonna slow down. I'm like, none of it's true. I'm like, I've continued to get faster over these 4 years, even though my body has changed drastically. I've put on a significant amount of weight since I was a freshman. I've also put on a lot of muscle, and I've gotten leaner over those years. And so I'm able to do more exercises. I'm able to train harder. I'm able to run differently than my entire running form has changed. But it's made me faster, and you know, it was all worth it, even though at times, you know, it felt terrible.
Yeah. And it's so true. Like you get these messages and they still come out, but then you're like, well, okay. Sometimes I just wonder how they keep saying that when obviously there's Olympic and world runners out there, right? Yeah. Well, they went through puberty and they're getting faster, you know, and they're faster than you or faster than college athletes. So it's like, I just think what happens is so many females don't fuel enough. So they get injured and they get hurt and they never get to their full potential, because then they're prolonging puberty. Yeah. And then they get confused and it's like, oh my gosh, you need to fuel and get through this. And yeah, I just see ladies get faster, even guys, but you know, for Grace, she said, I could share this with you guys. She started off at around 22 to 2,500 calories. Now she's at 35 to 4,000. when she started, not a normal menstrual cycle, 5'10". Now Grace is lean when she even came in, 17% body fat. So, it's interesting, that thought process, like I'm big and you're 17% body fat, which is really lean. And by fueling more, getting the right calories at the right times, right? Getting the protein throughout the day, just so your muscles protein's more for repair and recovery. It's not for running. That's your carbs and fats. Fats, during the race, you're burning fat, but the fuel you store in your muscle is carbs. So if those are low when you start, hold on tight because you're going to have a rough ride, right? Your brain is saying I can go, but your legs start going, I don't know what's happening here. Yeah. And you can't convert fat fast enough. And when those muscles get tired, like what's happened with you in the past is your body gets tired. You can't hold the paces that you'd like to hold, or you're not maximizing your practices. But Grace, I'm not joking. She didn't know this, but I was like, when she came in, when that one time before her Nats, I was just like, she looked leaner to me. And this young lady here, 4,000 calories a day later, because you were up to 4,000 in cross country season. Yeah. She gained 9 pounds of lean weight. Okay. And it was from nutrition. That's what her body wanted to do. And she actually lost more fat. So she was 14% body fat. And I always caution about saying that, but I just want to say that to ladies out there. She's eating 1,500 calories more in like that, 6-month time frame, 5-month time frame, by just eating the right fuel at the right time for the most part, right? I mean, her body put on 9 pounds of lean and she lost more fat. That's the crazy part. Like, she has less fat on her body now than she did when we first started. And she has more fuel. She's stronger. So yeah, it's pretty cool to know that, wow, it's amazing, right? So everything's just on point and doing great. So what kind of, any other things that you would like to say to people out there?
I did a bunch of things before, but
I've
been dead recently. I've been so tired.
Yeah.
Sleep enough. That's a good one. That recently.
What about, and this kind of could be the last thing, because you kind of, what was it that the doctor brought it up with the nutrition, but what do you think the fear was? Just not like, was the fear that you thought I was going to tell you to eat less, or was there anything else there with the nutrition?
I think it kind of goes back to like in early childhood education, like at a public school, like you are very much taught kind of to, I don't want to say to fear food, but like even in like common day social media, it's like you need to be under a certain weight, you need to be at this, you need to be at that in order to like do well at whatever you want. And like that's so untrue. I mean, they're basing that off of just random standards. So I think it was also that, and then watching just like what my friends consume, what they do, but I'm also not realizing, oh, well, they're generally not doing 3 hours of cardio a day or, running and then lifting weights and then doing strength exercise. Like it's kind of a whole different dynamic. Mm-hmm. So I think I was most scared of, because I was coming off of, I had actually had a very good track season, and I didn't want to lose that. This was my last high school cross country season, and so my biggest fear was to finish on a bad note, and I didn't want to change anything that would make that happen. Mm-hmm. And in reality, it probably would have gone a lot worse if I hadn't gone to Dawn, and gotten my nutrition under control a little bit, because like even like track fueling versus cross country, like it's completely different. I mean, it's the same in some regards, right. But cross country I think requires even more than track does for like distance runners. Mm-hmm. and I'm not saying like eat less during track at all, but it's just a different type, like for your races specifically, I mean. So I think it was just a fear of running poorly, and then also like I didn't want to do anything too drastic before college that would change anything about me, because I'm like, okay, I'm committed to this school that I'm super excited to be a part of. They're very talented. All the girls on that team are so strong and so fast. And I was like, well, I want to be able to keep up. And what if I change something and then I'm going to get slower and I won't be able to? And honestly, through fueling, I'm more confident going in that like I have a really strong base that I can build off of. And I'm actually super prepared now going into college, because I know that I'm not flimsy. I'm not going to like break at a dime. Like, I'm not scared of that anymore. I'm not scared of training and snapping a bone in the middle of a race or something. Like, obviously there are other stress injuries. I've been there, done that, doing it right now. But they're the things that I can control. I've got pretty buttoned up. So
I mean, and the cool thing too is you've really learned your body. So you are now seeing the signs of not eating enough. You still had some hiccups even when we were working, like, okay, girlfriend, and you have to have hiccups. So you have to know what to do. And now even with your biomechanics, the cool thing is like, okay, now I know I might have to cross train a little bit. We're working on this, but I know if I listen or whatever, I can get through this and I'll be fine. And I'm really excited for when you go off to college. I can't wait till track season. We'll get this tibia thing working, but I know with what you learning your body, and really that's the other thing, listening. There's a lot of people out there that don't listen and they try to push through, and you've learned that. You're like, no, I am not going there. I am regrouping. I know I'll be fine. I just got to get this, because if I push this, then I'm done. I am not going to be done. I am going to track season.
That's actually
right.
Yeah, I actually decided to go to a doctor. I do not like going to doctors. Anybody who tells me, I'm like totally against it. I don't have a problem with like medicine. Like, I'm not saying that. But I'm sucking up that fear. So
well, and you're learning your body, and you're like, wait a second. It's
better to take care of something early, especially nutrition. So if you're like a youngin listening to this, feel your body or see a nutritionist or something.
Because you know what I'm excited about, girlfriend? You will be surprised that I think you're going to be much faster. I think I have whatever happens, but if you keep going this direction, you're going to be leading the team in a sense. Because I know for a fact, so many of those ladies do not eat enough. And you're going to go there and you're like, I'm eating. You can just do what you want, but you need to eat. And I'm going to keep plowing through my training here. And I'm going to get faster and faster and faster and faster.
I don't know, Dawn.
I am confident. You're learning a lot. So
you're pretty legit.
I have, and whatever happens, but what you learn here and what you've learned already, wow, it's a lot to take in. But I'm not kidding. You're like, oh, I'm getting hungry. Oh gosh, now I got to eat more. I just feel like there's going to be some bumps, but I think you're going to figure this out and stay healthy most of the time. And staying healthy is the trick to this sport.
Consistency.
Really. Yes.
Yeah.
And you know how to fuel, and you're like, okay, well, and I would love to tell you you're not going to get those comments in college, but you're going to get those comments in college. Like, you're going to have to be the ringleader unless there's somebody else. And you're like, well, then you two can sit at the table together and then everybody can watch you guys eat. But otherwise you're going to be still pulling people along, because you're still like, oh, so many athletes do not eat enough. And in college, it's just crazy, and you run more. So, all right, girlfriend, I love you to death. Thank you so much for taking the time to share your journey. And I'm just looking for, I wish want the best for you. I know you've worked really hard and you continue to work hard. Great cross country season. I'm keeping my fingers crossed for great track season.
Hopefully.
And I know you're doing everything you can, and I'm just proud of you. So thanks for working with me.
I appreciate it.
And trusting me, even though you cried and screamed and hated my guts sometimes. But I always tell people I do it out of love of, I want the best for my athletes, and I want you to do well. So thanks for sharing, because people need to hear your story. So
absolutely. Thank you.
All right. Well, take care. Have a great night.
Bye. You too.
Bye.